Hey everyone, it's Michelle Williams, and I love being able to share my story with you on my podcast, Checking In with Michelle Williams, where my guests and I, we get real as we share the ups and downs of our mental health journeys, and I'd love for you to join me. iHeartRadio is #1 for podcasts, but don't take our word for it. Listen to Checking In with Michelle Williams every Tuesday, a part of the Black Effect on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts. Presented by Pepsi Zero Sugar.
DJ Envy, Angela Yee, and Charlamagne the God.
I want to congratulate you, Hall of Famers. So honored to be in the presence of radio royalty.
It's the world's most dangerous morning show, The Breakfast Club.
It's a big deal.
I think that y'all have a certain amount of respect for, what everybody else does, and y'all are just the best at what y'all do.
We love y'all, man. Thank you for being the people's champs.
Probably the greatest.
All three of y'all.
Listen to The Breakfast Club on the Black Effect iHeartRadio podcast network, on the iHeartRadio app, on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Presented by Pepsi Zero Sugar.
Thanks for listening to the Best of the Jason Smith Show with Mike Harmon podcast. Be sure to catch us live every weeknight from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern, 7 to 11 p.m. Pacific on Fox Sports Radio. Find your local station for the Jason Smith Show with Mike Harmon at foxsportsradio.com or stream us live every night on the iHeartRadio app by searching FSR.
This is the Best of the Jason Smith Show with Mike Harmon on Fox Sports Radio.
Fox Sports Radio, the Jason Smith Show with my best friend and White Sox apologist, Mike Harmon.
Yeah, hi, welcome in.
Who knew that the White Sox were going to be the most polarizing story in baseball today? But then again, it's not often that Tony La Russa wakes up. That Tony La Russa says that, hey, something happened with my team last night I just 100% do not agree upon. If you remember, it was a huge win for Chicago last night against the Twins. And he was really mad that Yermin Mercedes swung at a 3-0 pitch in the ninth inning off a position player and hit a home run with the team up 15-4. Tony La Russa was not happy, didn't follow the unwritten rules of baseball, and said after the game that there's going to be consequences for Mercedes after his actions. Here he was.
Yermin was locked into he and Astudillo. They know each other from different competitions. And he was locked in, and really, he just, I got to get him. But he missed a 3-0 hit sign with that kind of lead. That's just sportsmanship, respect for the game, respect for your opponent. He made a mistake. There'll be a consequence that he has to endure here within our family. But, it won't happen again because, Joe will be on the lookout, and I will be too, and we'll go running in front of the pitcher. We have to.
As Bugs Bunny used to say, consequences, schmonsequences. Now, initially, I was saying, okay, Tony, the game's change a little bit. Players do things like this. But then I watched Yermin and saw what he said following the game. Quote, I'm always doing Yermin. So you go in third person. For that reason, I'm here right now. For that reason, you guys are talking to me right now. If I'm not Yermin, if I'm not doing that, nobody wants to talk to me. Nobody wants to know what I'm doing. So the most talented hitter in the lineup says, hey, I'm doing this because I want people to know who I am. Now this is a kid that now after this, okay, this is a guy that needs a little bit of a sit down to say, hey, dude, do things a certain way. Look, tonight, the White Sox and Twins, they were throwing at each other. This is what happens when you swing 3-0 up 15-4 in the ninth inning and hit a home run. This is part of the game. But just understand that you don't want your guy to get dotted. This is something that, hey, okay, I get it, but you can't tell me that because you want to be noticed, you're going to swing at 3-0 pitches and do things like this, especially if you got a big take sign and you missed it, because that's saying, you know what, I don't care what you're telling me, I'm going to do this.
And so that's fine if the score is 5-3. Yeah. If it's a close game and you want him to get on base, fine. Otherwise, all you're doing is extending the misery by taking the walk off the 47-mile-an-hour meatball that this guy threw up. All right, number one, we're not little leaguers, okay? Feeling, sportsmanship. Your job is to bludgeon your opponent, okay? And then to see them vanquished before you. So getting all up in the feelings thing, ridiculous. Okay, he hit through the sign. I can understand that to a point. But again, if you're the White Sox, are you not just trying to finish this thing? And what are we talking here? if he puts the ball in play and it's a ground out, you know what? The game ends and we move on and life is good.
Yeah,
and
but but you got a player who said, I'm not going to listen to the coach. All right? You had La Russa say he missed a take sign, and we gave him that, and he still swung. Okay, and then you have him saying at the end of the game, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it again because I want people to talk about this. That's an issue. You got an issue.
But he said the aggressiveness was what got him there. There's so much more to the conversation than those two quotes. But when it comes down to it, yeah, it's a guy who's feeling himself, hitting, 360 plus right now, and in personal beef or whatever else, and whatever. He's got to run some laps or whatever the hell La Russa is going to do, find him in kangaroo court. But this is all stuff that should have been happening behind closed doors. By the way, the entirety of Major League Baseball, including noted chap-ass Trevor Bauer, was among guys going, good for him. Swing away. If they're going to throw that junk out there and put a position player in to do it, because that's the other part of this that needs to be noted, right? If we're going to go down that road, all bets are off. Right, because you're ruining the sanctity of the game by trotting those guys out too. If we're gonna go by what you should be doing.
I hear you. I get you. I get you on it. But
you're mean, baby.
It's not just I swung 3-0 and I ran it up on the other team. It was we told you not to do it, you did it, and now you're not going to do it again. And he says I'm going to do it again. You got issues there. That's an issue. That's an issue with the player.
I love it. Tony La Russa needs to recognize. Look, I like that he speaks his mind and that he's got his ways he wants to do things. I just think he's wrong. The game has changed.
All right. One of your guys gets dotted and gets a broken hand. Maybe you'll think differently.
Well, then they all need to grow up.
We'll see.
Good God.
We'll see. That's the game, though.
It's not the 60s anymore.
Don't hate the play. I hate the game, man. Don't hate the
game. Needs to evolve.
Be sure to catch live editions of The Jason Smith Show with Mike Harmon weekdays at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific on Fox Sports Radio and the iHeartRadio app.
Good afternoon. Would you like to try a free sample of our double fudge brownie?
Oh, sure. That's very good. I'll just take one more, just to be sure. Yep, still very good.
Some things never change, like never being able to take just one free sample. And Geico saving folks lots of money on their car insurance.
Is that macadamia nut I taste? Let me take one more.
Sir?
Yeah, I thought so.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Veteran news anchor Ron Burgundy returns with the Ron Burgundy Podcast to take on the most pressing and exciting topics of our day, along with his co-host and producer, Carolina Barlow. Get the truth about the stories that affect your life, as only Ron Burgundy can deliver it.
I've heard it said, perhaps by me, that you can earn a degree listening to my podcast. That's what I heard from my source, that is, myself.
This is hard-hitting, no-holds-barred news.
I am a trusted source for so many people out there. People think of me as a comforting, compassionate, welcoming presence in their homes.
This is the special brand of honest, to-the-point reporting you've come to expect from Ron Burgundy.
I don't know whether it's the timbre of my voice, measured tone, or my musky personal scent, but I've never felt more loved as a broadcaster than right now.
Listen to the Ron Burgundy Podcast, Season 4, on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Just because it's all big NBA night tonight, playing around, everybody's watching it. These seem like legitimate playoff games, even though you're talking about, 9 and 10 seeds going at it. Two big stories from the NFL today, quarterback-wise, and I got two big, bold predictions for you. You ready?
Oh, here we go.
All right, first is this, and this is great news for the NFL, and it's great news for everybody. It's great news for the Bengals, as the doctor who operated on Joe Burrow, who wrecked his knee in the middle of what was a incredible rookie season for the Bengals last year, says that he is 100% on track to play week 1 of the NFL season, right? I mean, Joe Burrow clearly showed, even in just a few games last year, he's going to be a star. Like there was nothing you didn't see. You say, no. Joe Burrow, he's got it, man.
Yeah,
he's got
sure.
it. He's going to be a star. I'll give you a bold prediction on Joe Burrow. He makes the Pro Bowl in the AFC as one of the top 3 quarterbacks this season. Not a replacement. And for you 4 guys, no. When because now you're voting for the Pro Bowl as a legitimate thing, just for the honor of being named to the Pro Bowl. Because who knows what the future of the game is going to be. But I'll tell you this: the top 3 quarterbacks in the AFC are going to be Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow. Burrow will have a better season than Justin Herbert. I know Frostberg's mad at me right now.
That's
better
the end
season
of your relationship.
Better season than Lamar Jackson. I mean, maybe he's got a better season than Zach Wilson. I mean, maybe, but that's how good he's going to be this year. He showed it. He's got a better team this year. He's got more weapons. You're hooking him up with one of his former wide receivers. Watch out. Joe Burrow would be a legitimate Pro Bowl pick this year in the AFC. He'll be one of the top 3 quarterbacks.
Certainly like the skill position players around him. Maybe you need an upgrade at tight end. I'm still not sure that the Sample and Uzoma are going to get it done at that position, particularly if they're going to need to stay in and block, because that offensive line, I still have my issues with it. Okay, and look, when I did my mock draft and I got it right that Chase was going to be the guy. Why? Because it's the Bengals. And figuring they'd go and they'd fortify things in the draft. And they did. They added a guard and a tackle in the 2nd and 4th round, respectively, and then a center in the 6th. So, yes, they addressed it on paper. Does that translate into a better front 5 to keep him upright after what was an absolutely disastrous 2020 season before the injury? Because he was abused. I mean, and only some of that you could say to, hey, he's a rookie, he's got to get rid of the ball. Most of that was bad offensive line play. So we'll see what year 2 brings there. I like the boldness. I don't think he's leaping Lamar Jackson now that they actually got him some extra toys too.
It's hard, but Lamar Jackson may be that quarterback who now understands, okay, I need to sacrifice a little bit regular season for playoffs. And then that's got to be something where maybe every trick out of my bag isn't something that I show, or something else needs to happen, because clearly what's gone on the last couple of years has not worked, right? We've been great during the regular season. I've done everything I could. We get to the playoffs and we flamed out. Maybe it's different style. Maybe it's something different, but I'm thinking we're going to get a different kind of regular season from the Ravens, and clearly Burrow being the shiny new toy, hey, look how great he is, and, being the number 1 overall pick. I can see Burrow, his stats just blowing everybody away, going, man, this guy threw 38 touchdowns. He's got to go to the Pro Bowl.
Well, and they can keep showing that zipper on his leg.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, this
it's kind of like when Thomas Davis was doing anything the last couple of years of his career. How many times did you see his arm that looked like a football?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a tough thing to see, and he likes showing it on social media, which I'm like, okay, oh boy.
Dude, that was the only thing you saw during here's our uniforms. Man. Nobody's looking at the unioniforms. Everybody's zooming in. What's that?
I know. Hey, as long as he is healthy, and I don't want to say that because I don't want to put that out there. Burrow's going to be one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the AFC, a legit Pro Bowl quarterback, named to the team the first time around. Last time I made this bold pick was for Lamar Jackson. Everybody laughed, and I underestimated him because he went on to win the MVP. So
yeah, but you also were not as specific. Now here you're talking about
I
legitimately making the Pro Bowl. No, you didn't. With Lamar Jackson, you didn't.
I said he's one of the top 3
you just said he's going to make the Pro Bowl, and I said that's great. He beats out the last guy.
No, you lie. Oh, you lie. I said he's going to be one of the top 3 quarterbacks named.
Look, one of us pays attention when the others talk. Guess who it is?
Listen, Andy Pettit. It's not my fault you're misremembering how things were said. I'll go find the tweet. I'll find the tweet, and I'll tattoo it to your forehead. You've got to walk around with that on your face, and people are going to honk their horn when you're walking your dog, and they're going to go, hey, man, put on a mask, walk your dog, and why do you have a tattoo on your forehead that says Jason Smith said Lamar Jackson's going to the Pro Bowl? And you're going to have to yell, just beat it, leave me alone.
I don't know. Well, I mean, if I were to do that in Chicago, I mean, you got the mayor saying, hey, don't listen to the CDC, listen to me. So, I don't know. I mean, the rules of engagement, what are you going to do? But, yeah, no, you said Pro Bowl, and you didn't specify actually getting there in the first pass.
No, you didn't. I'll find the tweet. I'll find that again. And
there may be a difference between what you tweeted and what you said. I don't care about your tweet. I care what you said to me and to America. And to America on Fox Sports Radio.
It's going to be just like when Danny Glover killed that guy in Lethal Weapon 2 with the nail gun. I'm just going to go, it's going to be right in your head. You're going to go, oh, man, that stings. I got to walk around with this on my forehead for a while. That's what's going to happen.
Dude, you just spoiled that for so many people. Or you made them look forward to it because it sounded kind of cool.
Danny Glover just killed a random dude. It wasn't like at the end of the movie or anything. Just some random guy in his house that he killed with a nail gun. So, that's how it works. Lethal Weapon 2 is pretty old movie.
You make that sound like dude had a problem. If it was just a random dude he killed with a nail gun.
No, okay.
You made it sound like it wasn't germane to what they were actually doing and trying to solve and take care of a case. Come on, man.
Number one, guy broke into his house. Number two, it was not Joe Germain who was killed. All right, just so people understand when what's going on with that.
Look at that legendary Buckeye. He also played for the Bengals. How about that?
That's true. He did. Yes. I think everybody in the 90s wound up playing for the Bengals.
Yeah, but see the way I was able to pull that so deftly together? How good am I? That's a broadcast professional right there.
How about another big bold prediction? Because another NFL story today was how happy the Colts, all the players are so far with Carson Wentz. All have said incredible things about them. They are really excited. He's looked impressive so far. T.Y. Hilton was talking about him, some of the other wide receivers. I am in on Carson Wentz being able to flourish enough away from Philadelphia. Not to the point where he's going to be the MVP quarterback he was 5 years ago before he got hurt, but being away from Philadelphia and Indianapolis, it's a great fit. And this is exactly where he needs to be, in a positive environment with his former OC that's now his head coach, or former quarterback's coach that's now his head coach in Frank Reich. This is exactly where he needs to be. When you get a fresh start and a team believes in you and you're a quarterback, you can hit the reset button, and it's a lot easier to get things done. This team is absolutely loaded. All right, Carson Wentz doesn't need to be a superstar. He just needs to be a little bit better than Phillip Rivers, and Carson Wentz will be a little bit better than Phillip Rivers. Book the Colts for the AFC Championship game right now. Book the Colts and Carson Wentz and the journey, Colts in the AFC Championship game right now. They win the AFC South. It's not going to be too difficult. The Titans are good, but the Colts will be better. You're going to go 2-0 against the Texans. You'll probably win both games against the Jaguars unless Trevor Lawrence is even better than expected. But the Colts are loaded. AFC title game, I'll have the Colts in it 100%.
Wow. Yeah, no chance. I do like what they did defensively. I'm not on board the Carson Wentz bandwagon. And what else would everybody say right now? What, this guy came in with a bad attitude and he doesn't want to be here and everything? No. Everybody wants either to play alongside him, to be the number one or number two target, or they just want to build him up after all of the reports that he sunk down into a deep, dark hole when things went south and he was displaced by Jalen Hurts. So, yeah, everybody's going to kiss his ass right now. I would fully anticipate that at this juncture. Can he run through that division? Yeah. Yeah, he can. But that's as far as it goes. And even then, didn't you hype up Jacksonville? Like Urban Meyer and Tim Tebow were going to rule the world.
Well, they were going to take advantage of their easy schedule and get in the playoffs. Now the Colts are loaded, buddy. The Colts are loaded. You have to.
Yeah, but if the Jags are getting into the play, they're not getting two teams into the playoffs.
Well, they may get three teams into the playoffs. Who knows? You got 17 games, man. It could happen. Who else is making the playoffs from the AFC East besides the Bills? New England. Okay, you think New England? But are they going to struggle to get in? Are they going to play? So wait. So two teams from that division are going to get in.
Because they're good,
but they're not going to get. Oh, okay. So the Colts.
I'm not a believer in Carson Wentz. Let's put it that way.
Not a believer in Carson Wentz. All right, but hey, I hear you on that. I'm just telling you, man.
Because remember, whenever we do that guy was once an MVP candidate, we always have to remember Father Time has moved away a couple of years, and this guy lost his soul. He's out there looking. He's like the movie Soul, where he's looking around trying to figure out how to get back.
Oh, wow.
And maybe Frank Reich is that guy that leads him.
I'm with you in that he might not be a player that is what he was during his MVP, but he doesn't need to be. He doesn't need to be. If you had a quarterback who was a little bit better than Phillip Rivers last year, guess what? You beat the Bills in the playoff game, maybe win another one, and you're in the AFC title game a year ago. All right, now you've gotten even better. You figured out running the football. He's not going to throw for 350 yards a week. Doesn't matter. Doesn't need to. He's going to be good enough to get the Colts into the AFC title game. Book him for the look, I loved him last year. I love him even more this year. They're going to go. Just fresh starts, people who believe in you, especially somebody like Carson Wentz who needs that. Some players can fake it till they make it. Right? Some players can do that, right? We talked about the Clippers might not be able to fake it till they make it, why they might want to avoid the Lakers, but some players can't do it. I got to be in a certain sense in a situation where everybody believes in me and they're pushing me forward, the whole power of positive thinking. That's what Carson Wentz needs. When he was the guy in Philadelphia and there were no questions, Carson Wentz was great. But then he gets hurt and Nick Foles wins the Super Bowl, and he never really was the guy after that. He was always looking over his shoulder. It was always the Eagles may have another person there for me. He never got that, hey, don't worry, it's all good. This is your team. He never got it. Now he's got that. For at least this season in Indianapolis, he's got it. He's going to be just fine. Colts AFC Championship game.
Pressure is on him. Would you believe they're only 11-1 to win the AFC?
Man, I'm telling you.
They are the 5th favorite behind KC, Buffalo, Baltimore, Cleveland.
Oh, boy.
And then they're tied.
You should have set up Tyship for that
and
one.
Denver's sitting there at 11-1 right now because of the expectation that your guy shows up.
Yeah, Denver's only there at 11-1 because of a guy they don't have on the roster right now. That's the only reason.
Well, they got to look, man. They got to make sure they limit their exposure, right? Because if that was still sitting out with true odds right now, you'd have a bunch of guys bringing in wheelbarrows, taking a chance that they get some long odds. So sitting at 11-1 right now.
Twitter at How About a Fresca, Mike at Swollen Dome, The Jason Smith Show with Mike Harmon. There's no such thing as a good excuse for not buckling up. Law enforcement are writing tickets, so why take the risk? Do the smart thing and start buckling up every trip, day or night. Click it or ticket, paid for by NHTSA. It is The Jason Smith Show with Mike Harmon. Coming up next, we get into the biggest, I would say, controversy of the day that is very near and dear to the heart of one person on this show, and here's a hint. It's not me. Oh! Ooh. Keep it right here. This is Fox Sports Radio.
Be sure to catch live editions of The Jason Smith Show with Mike Harmon weekdays at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, 3-time Pro Bowler LeVar Arrington, and I couldn't be more excited to announce a new podcast called Up On Game. What is Up On Game, you ask? Along with my fellow Pro Bowler, TJ Hushmanzada, and Super Bowl champion, yep, that's right, Plexico Burress. You can only name a show with that type of talent on it. Up On Game. We're going to be sharing our real-life experiences loaded with teachable moments. Listen to Up On Game with me, LeVar Arrington, TJ Hushmanzada, and Plexico Burress on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts from.
New hot and iced Sunrise Batch Coffee from Dunkin'. A bright and balanced, full-bodied blend brewed so you can get summering from sunrise to sunset. And even after that, because that's when you can show off those string lights you hung in the backyard. Or rehung. Enjoy a medium, hotter iced Sunrise Batch Coffee for $2. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer. Exclusions apply.
Are you One Tree Hill obsessed? Are Brooke, Peyton, and Haley your BFF goals? Join Sophia Bush, Hillary Burton, and Bethany Joy Lenz on the Drama Queens podcast to relive, relove, and rewatch every One Tree Hill minute.
There are no fans like One Tree Hill fans. There is no family like our family. So we got together to do a rewatch podcast to relive the show, as so many of you have.
Each week, Sophia, Hillary, and Bethany Joy dissect every episode and deliver every must-know detail.
I feel like it's a walk down memory lane that also might be a little bit of a stumble down memory lane.
I mean, we'll have cocktails sometimes, so we might leave stumbling.
Mm-hmm. I'm good with that.
The ups, the downs, the loves, the losses. Experience One Tree Hill all over again.
There's so much cool stuff to imagine for them. But before we can go forward, we gotta go back to the beginning.
You nailed it.
Listen to Drama Queens on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Malcolm Gladwell, and I've got to warn you. The new season of my podcast, Revisionist History, is completely unbound. We're finally out of the house, and now that we've got the chance, we're going into the streets and even under the sea, all in the name of continuing this journey through the overlooked and misunderstood. Our episodes take on autonomous cars, dirty laundry, college rankings, and fairy tales. In quarantine, I finally watched The Little Mermaid, and I was shocked. It's rife with moral conundrums. Can it be saved? With the help of Jodie Foster, Britt Marling, and Dax Shepard, we attempt an epic de-Disneyfying of a Disney classic. I haven't decided who we rile up most, college presidents or Disney executives. You'll have to hear for yourself. Listen to Revisionist History on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Joining us now on the hotline, MLB Network, Fox Sports Radio, baseball insider extraordinaire, getting set for all his work during the playoffs for the NHL Network as well. You can follow him on Twitter at John Morosi. It is John Paul Morosi. JP, what's happening, buddy?
Gentlemen, I am doing great. You're right. We have the NHL playoffs going on. Lots of overtime drama so far. And yes, I understand some Tony La Russa-related drama involving the Southsiders the last couple of days. What happened there, Mike?
He needs to come into the new century, as do the Twins throwing behind Yermin in the 7th, down 2. That makes less sense than swinging at a 47-mile-an-hour meatball, JP.
I would agree with that, and certainly for those just joining us, what has happened there was Yermin Mercedes hit a 3-0 count, 3-0 pitch, home run off Willians Astudillo, and he was somewhat scolded by his own manager, Hall of Famer Tony La Russa, saying that he should not have been swinging 3-0. I think, Mike, you illustrate your point very well. Let's take a step back and realize what we're all doing here. This is sports. It is entertainment. We, anybody who's in baseball or involved in the sport, are in the business of selling tickets and making people excited by fun things that happen on the field. That's really what we're doing. This is not a lecture about the unwritten code or how we handled things in 1980. It's just not that anymore.
Right.
That's not what we are doing. We are trying to sell tickets and win people's hearts with charismatic stories like Yermin Mercedes in 2021 as we hopefully get our professional sports apparatus back in the air after the pandemic. We are not trying to scold people and teach them ethics that we learned in the 60s and 70s. Now, I will say this. The White Sox have the best record in baseball. So you're not going to hear from me that, here comes the downfall of the White Sox and how dare the White Sox sort of admonish their own player. It's just frustrating to me that Tony did not get the memo that the game has changed in the last 10 years, or perhaps he got the memo and is ignoring it. But that's not okay. I mean, he's having success. The team is winning. I think on certain levels, his presence in the game is certainly adding a layer of experience, and I think it's no accident that you see La Russa's team having success and Dusty Baker's team having success. And there is this place in this game for experience. I get all of that. But you have to not forget what we are doing here. We are selling a fun product. Let the fun product be the fun product, okay? That's John's marketing wisdom for the night. Let the product just be, okay? This is not a lecture. If I wanted a lecture about ethics circa 1970, I would sign up for one, right?
The team's slogan is #change the game, for crying out loud.
And it's not changed the game back to when Happy Days was on the air, okay?
Oh, sit on it, John Paul. All right. Let me just play. Let me play devil's advocate with you, because I agree with you on this. Until you get to this point, and this is where I'm sorry, but whether you like or hate Tony La Russa, this is an issue. Tony La Russa said we gave him the take sign, and he ignored it and hit a home run. And after the game, he said, I'm going to do it again because I like when people talk about me, and people aren't talking about me if I don't do things like that. That's an issue. That's an issue when your manager says, I want you to do, here's a take sign. Nope, I'm going to blow through it. Well, next time, no, I'm still going to do the same thing. That's kind of an issue. I mean, I get it. Hey, look, I love fun, everything else, but that's kind of the real issue to me, is that this is what happened, and after it's over, there wasn't, hey, I was being fun. I get it. Skip is this. Why, I understand. He's seen a lot about the game. No, I'm just going to do it again. That's an issue.
It is an issue. But it's also an issue only, and it's. I'm glad you raised it this way, and I think it's totally fair that you did. But I also look at it this way, that philosophically speaking, this is the player's show. This is the player's show, period. And Tony knows that. He knows that. he had Albert Pujols. And again, maybe Mercedes hasn't been quite having enough tenure in the game to earn that respect from Tony to just let him go. But I'm a believer that we have to let the players be themselves. And to your point, he disregarded the sign. That might be the only that I suppose took it from a fully unwritten rule to an on-field sign that was then disobeyed. I don't disagree that there is a certain chain of command that exists in sports, and that's your boss, and you're ignoring your boss in that respect. And I understand that's an issue. But I just think philosophically, Tony probably, if Tony wanted to just handle it behind closed doors, that was an option available to him. And he's done a lot of press conferences in his day, and I think he answered that question in a way that was meant to lecture, not just Mercedes, but probably everybody. And I think that it's a lecture that no longer fits in the curriculum of Major League Baseball in 2021.
It's basically a few good men. Maybe the old man is just wrong, and I think he was here. Because if Mercedes just grounds out, you know what? The game moves. Otherwise, if he ends up walking by taking that pitch, it prolongs an already 4-hour beatdown that the Twins were taking. Let's get on to, even less happy circumstances. I always thought Mike Trout was a cyborg, but calf injury is now going to take him out 2 months plus. He's human, and now it's truly the Shohei Ohtani show for the foreseeable future, meaning, the results will probably be the same, JP. A lot of losses, but a guy that's fun to watch.
Indeed, and as we were just speaking there, perhaps the baseball gods were listening because the Twins just beat the White Sox in a walk-off there. So
there you go.
I don't know. Maybe we should be more alarmed. No, I kid there. The White Sox are still fine. They still have the best record in the American League. They're going to be just fine. But the Angels, to your point, are not going to be just fine because they are 4 games under 500. Yes, they've won a couple games in a row, but now you start to think about how they're going to be able to carry forward with their offense without Trout. And how reliant they're going to be on Ohtani. This is a team, I think, I can't recall, I think it was my friend Jeff Joyce who made this point, and it was such a good statement that I will credit Jeff and make the statement here. Jeff said the Angels would be a great NBA team. They've got 3 really great players and then a bunch of role players. Isn't that just such a great description? The Angels are an NBA team. They've got Ohtani, Trout, and Rendon, and now one of their big 3 is out, and now it's going to be the whatever analogy you want. They've now lost their perimeter scoring, and they're in trouble. So that's basically where they're at right now. They are in the same spot they've been in for most of Trout's career, which is just not quite good enough. And I think there are 2 teams in the division clearly better than the Angels, and that's the A's and the Astros. And then the Mariners, on their best day, are actually a pretty good team. The Angels have a minus 44 run differential. That's just not good. They're not consistent enough in the rotation. At times, Trout's brilliance will win the day, but you cannot just expect Ohtani to be Babe Ruth on both sides of the ball every day and win that way. It's just not possible. So I think it's going to be roll your calendar forward 1 year. It's going to be one more year without Mike Trout winning a postseason game for the Angels.
And here's the thing about Mike Trout, JP, is that, not to be doom and gloom about it, but I kind of look at Trout like I look at Cam Newton, if you want to have a comparison here. As Cam Newton was a highlight reel for so long. He did things we had never seen before in the NFL. But he's a bigger quarterback, and when bigger quarterbacks get to be 30, they break down a lot faster. Mike Trout's a bigger guy, right? He goes 6'2", 235. He plays a high-octane position and does it very physically. How much of a worry is that now he's at the age? The next time he's going to play a playoff game, he's probably going to be, maybe he's going to be over 30 years old when he's going to wind up getting there again, at least. How much do you worry that, hey, Trout's prime, we're getting close to the end of it because of the wear and tear on him, and the injuries are going to start to pile up with him?
It's a fair question. And by the way, his contract runs through 2030. 2030 is when his contract, which has a sticker price of $426 million. That deal runs through 2030, which is just incredible to say those words. But I think that, to your point, yes, I think anytime a player is approaching 30 or in his 30s, you're a little bit wary. To your point, his physicality is part of that. And yet, the Angels have him locked up long-term. They have Rendon locked up long-term, and they have not been able to develop pitching. And that's been the undermining of this team for a long time. How concerned should they be with Trout? He's been a pretty durable player. You look at last year; he played 53 regular season games. He of course missed the time in 2017. He still played enough, even 134 games in 2019. He missed some time that year. He still won the MVP. So his career track record is really something remarkable, and I think his overall durability has been there. I think you're right that you should be concerned into your 30s, but I also think on that level, Trout's productiveness is probably one of the least concerns of this team when they really have to address their pitching in a meaningful way and haven't been able to do so since the days of Jared Washburn and John Lackey.
Well, let me take it back to Chicago for a second. Go to the other side of town. St. Louis ahead in the division, 6 games above 500. Cubs now a game over 500 and surging a bit. Now they're in kind of the weird scenario, JP, of, well, Chris Bryant would have been a really good trade chip, but now they may be just good enough not to dangle it.
Well, that's a great point. And I think my colleague Joel Sherman made the point recently that the Cubs need clarity from this year, and 21-20 is not clarity. It is not clarity at all. They're playing well enough to make you dream a little bit if you're a Cubs fan. They are ahead of the Brewers in the loss column. The Brewers are a team that I actually, with their pitching, have been very impressed with, but their offense is really poor. The Cardinals should win this division going away. They really should. Will they? I suppose we'll find out. I mean, they've had their own issues at different times during the course of the year. But I think the Cubs, to your point, Mike, if I look at it right now, the NL East is going to be really balanced. I'm not sure that any team is going to really be a super strong second-place team that wins 92 games in the NL East. So if the Cubs just hang around 500, they'll be in this thing. And so I think, to your point, maybe they keep them. And listen, if we began this conversation talking about selling tickets and the city of Chicago, if the worst outcome you've got is that you have a competitive team down the stretch and that you're selling tickets for fans to come and watch Bryant play and Rizzo play and Baez play in September, and then you collect a draft pick for some of them in the off season, it's not the worst outcome. They probably need to make some more bold moves right now to really jumpstart that rebuild, but I think the second scenario that I painted is not the worst outcome for them.
To be fair, though, JP, it's the best outdoor bar in America, and they'll show up if you and I are playing positions.
Well, that's true. I suppose that's true. And Mike, as you well know, that great city of Chicago, they are now testing those Cub fans who said circa 2003 and 07 and 08, just once in my lifetime and I'll never complain again. Well, let's see if they complain this year. If they make some moves and trade some players. If you said that, Cubs fans, I don't want to hear it from you on Twitter with any complaints. You said that. No complaints ever. And you got a World Series ring.
It's Twitter.
No complaints.
I love how you think you're going to talk to people and say, "Don't complain at me on Twitter," and that's actually going to happen. I love
complaining.
I love how you think that.
I try to maintain a positive attitude on Twitter.
Good luck.
I do.
Yeah, good luck.
I appreciate that
love,
about you. Yeah.
Positivity. I just if there's negativity, I just sort of ignore it because we got enough of that. We got to have a lot of joy. We love talking sports. It's what we're here to do. And I just so I put a lot of positivity out there, guys. Positivity and information. You want to have a trade story? I'll talk about trades. I'll talk about positive stuff that makes us love the game. But negative stuff, nope. You got plenty of other spots you can find that. That's how I feel.
Just wait for 5 years. We'll be interviewing JP. JP, what do you think? Listen, Harbaugh stinks. His pants stink. I don't know what Michigan's thinking about doing. It's terrible. The Tigers we should just disband the team, let them go play in Canada. What do you got for me, Jason and Mike? What else are we going to talk about today?
Well, I mean, guys, it's been since 2013 that any Detroit pro sports team has won a playoff round. and it's been since '98 New Year's Day that Michigan won the Rose Bowl, and hasn't changed me yet, guys. I mean, that was
Joe Positivity
school,
over
man.
here.
That's a long time ago.
You haven't rubbed off on him yet, Smith.
He's
right.
on Twitter.
I had a full head of hair. I mean, all that stuff. I was kind of a little bit, maybe kind of athletic. I mean, that's a long time ago. Long time ago.
You can follow him on Twitter at Positive Perry. No, that's at John Morosi, John Morosi, MLB Network, Fox Sports Radio, Baseball Insider. JP, enjoy covering the playoffs for the NHL as you're doing. We'll talk to you next week, my friend.
Can't wait. I will have a lot of positive vibes for the Mets when we next speak.
Thank you very for the first place Mets, right?
I know.
For the first place Mets.
Okay. Jason, you are a classic Mets person. No questions about the Mets when they're playing well. Only when they're playing poorly. That's so Mets, man. That's so Mets of you.
That's JP. You just hit on the meaning of life right there.
There it
You're
is.
right.
There it is.
Like, Mets fans are like, what's the fun of following a team if I can't complain about them all the time? That's kind of how they feel. It's amazing.
Good summary statement right there.
Enjoyed the conversation as always.
Be sure to catch live editions of The Jason Smith Show with Mike Harmon weekdays at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific on Fox Sports Radio and the iHeartRadio app.
Clearly, yes, the number one game of the play-in round is Lakers-Warriors tomorrow night. And Anthony Davis said it after practice today. We know who the head of the snake is. It's Steph. Maybe that's what Steph Curry's going to do. He's going to dribble down the court, sidewind his way down.
Hey, look, there he's like a sidewinder. Look at, and I mean, that would be what you'd want if you're doing the telestrator. You definitely have to have at least one. Watch how he snakes around here and finds an open look.
Steph Curry, yes. And the thing is that, like I said, the putting the proper context on a play-in round is pretty difficult because, we went into hey, Jason Tatum got 50. What a great night. It's a great night. But really, are they going to beat the Nets? I mean, even though the Nets have a lot of issues, they got their 3 stars right now. In a week and a half, maybe they don't. Maybe Kyrie decides I don't want to play. He actually said today, I'm going to play this like it's my last playoff. Okay, guys don't walk away from all kinds of money. Kyrie Irving could do it. Maybe he gets traded. I mean, that's what they're at. But right now, it's a little too much. You got to keep it in perspective. Just because the Lakers and the Warriors are in the play-in round doesn't mean they're the same teams or they're close to each other. The Lakers had injury issues throughout the year. They are healthy again now. Yes, it's one game and anything can happen, but the Lakers are a much better basketball team than the Warriors are. They are. Steph is going to get his points because that's what Steph Curry does. But the Lakers are back. They are healthy. They are much more efficient than the Warriors are. They are deeper than the Warriors are. I would be surprised if this was still a game midway through the fourth quarter tomorrow night. The Lakers should win this game and win it handily and finish with the 7 seed. I don't see there being an outcome where, unless there's injuries happen and LeBron goes out of the game or AD twists his ankle and leaves, unless something like that happens, I can't see the Lakers not winning this game tomorrow night. I mean, if it's close, I'm surprised. The Lakers should win by double digits, and they should be, dribbling out the clock basically with 6 minutes left to go in this game. It should be all Lakers tomorrow night.
Lakers only a 5-point favorite in this one at home, 219.5. You're over/under for this one. Look, it's a question of how much are you getting out of Jordan Poole, how much is Kelly Oubre stepping up, and Andrew Wiggins. Right, Wiggins is your number 2 guy. So, the head of the snake, yes, it's Steph. The other guys have played pretty well. So I give Anthony Davis credit, to temper the grandiose talk that LeBron was selling on the other side of Steph's the MVP. Yeah. We know what your gamesmanship is here, LeBron. And then send out the tweet telling me about your scoring and give me the release date of Space Jam and whatever else you need to do to promote. No Zero Dark 23, it would appear, for the playoff run, unless it commences after midnight or something, kind of like feeding the Mogwai. But, as we go into this game, I would agree with you. Like, if they're healthy and ready to roll, then, it should be way too much size for the Warriors to be able to handle. Right, when you add Drummond and Draymond Green, even though he doesn't fill up the scoring column, still rebounds and still passes well. right? Those facets of his game haven't dipped at all. But they're going to need huge efforts from those secondary players if they're going to stay with this squad. It's the best for the NBA if they do win, though, right? And then the Lakers go beat the Grizz or Spurs, and then we have 7 and 8 as the Lakers and Warriors. I mean, that's the best for business.
Well, and it doesn't matter because
if you're into chaos theory,
yeah. But if the Lakers win, then the Warriors, they have another game to win. The Warriors can still get in. You got to lose twice. So it's if you lose, you still have another way to do it. So you still could see Lakers Warriors.
Yeah, we need to get them both in the playoffs. However, we can pull that off is really what the NBA is hoping for, right? A couple of big efforts from Steph and LeBron to close this thing out, because then it to some degree. I think any of the detractors, it would legitimize it. All right, we got our stars in, right? And we still have these big markets that are still playing, and now we get them for a whole other round. But, no, I'm looking forward to the Memphis-San Antonio game, too. I may be one of, 3. But I'm curious to watch. Yeah. I like watching Ja Morant play, man.
Yeah, that's like we used to have this thing where when I was working at ESPN, when I was behind the scenes, when I was a production assistant, and it used to be, someone would be watching this late, a late West Coast basketball game or West Coast baseball game, and usually sometimes when the show was a half hour, all the highlights didn't make it into the show. Once SportsCenter went to an hour, all the highlights from all the games made it in. Right? If there was TV on it, there was a highlight of it. But there was this saying that was like, "Oh, I got this really good game going on," because people wanted to be able to edit a highlight that made it a show because you wanted to be noticed and doing a good job. And the whole line is, "I got a really good game. I got a grand slam. I got this. What's your game back? It's Padres Cubs." And we would say, "You're lucky if that score even makes a mention on the show. Like, you're even lucky if you make the show with that. Don't give me, I got Cubs Padres. We need to get it in the game. Don't tell me because you're cutting Kings Nuggets. You think it's going to get in the game because somebody's got 30 points. It's not happening. You're lucky if you make the show. That game is lucky if it makes the show tomorrow night. It's lucky if it makes the show."
No, it'll make the show because I'll jam it in somewhere in there because it's still part of the playoffs, man. And people will have won or lost money.
Yeah, but if no one watches it, does it really count? I mean, really, if no one
don't go down that road. Because there's a lot of NBA games that nobody watched that we talked about over the course of this year. Nobody in quotes, of course.
Yeah, this is the playoffs now.
But this is the playoffs. Exactly. It's still a playoff game. It counts.
No. This time, it counts.
It still does. It still matters.
It counts.
It's the first round of the playoffs. Let's go.
Be sure to catch live editions of The Jason Smith Show with Mike Harmon weekdays at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific.
Hey guys, this is Gabby Douglas. If you have an active lifestyle like me, hydration is key. That's why I love the Hydration Watermelon Smoothie from Smoothie King. Blended with whole fruits, coconut water, and more electrolytes than some of the leading sports drinks, Hydration Watermelon is the cleaner way to hydrate, with no artificial colors, flavors, or preservatives. So you can recover and perform at your peak ability during the summer heat. Order online or through the app for pickup or delivery. Smoothie King, rule the day.
50 years in the future, Texas is racked by civil war. Follow the tale of 3 people struggling to make their way in this chaotic world of war zones, militias, and extremists. Introducing After the Revolution, a new fiction podcast based on the novel by journalist Robert Evans.
He'd grown up in Ciudad de Muerta, back before the Lakewood blast. Back when people had still called it Dallas.
Listen to After the Revolution on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.